Hey guys, this is Coach Nate McBride with the Bladefit Academy, and this is a new format that we are starting to do. And right off the bat, I need to apologize for not getting this video out yesterday. Locally, we had some issues. We had the air quality was just terrible, high winds, smoke in the air, and I just, for health reasons, I didn't get out to make the video. So I apologize for that. This morning, we are going to rectify that. So the new format, what's going on is on Mondays, I'm going to release some specific techniques that you guys need to practice and then bring it into Thursday's live class. So I'm going to be posting these classes in a playlist on my YouTube channel, and it's going to be the weekly class instruction playlist. And so in the title, I'm going to put by date the things that we're supposed to be learning, and this will hopefully be a resource to you guys that you could use. Now, for today. All right, let's talk about today. So today, what I want you to do is this technique 100 times each day, okay? So it's pretty simple, but it is a kind of a bedrock foundation for you guys with both attack and defense, okay? So it's two parts. We're going to be doing cuts 1 and 2, but what we're going to focus on is the transition of what to do. We're going to do this with both longsword and also sword and shield, okay? So at first we're going to start with longsword. This video is going to be short, guys. It's dependent on you to pay attention to how I do this, and then you're going to have to practice this a lot. And if you have any questions, you know, DM me, see me in class, whatever, we'll go through it, all right? So let's start with longsword. I've got my longsword here. Right, and so again, it's cuts 1. Well, it's still windy out here. Hope the sound is good. So I'm in tog, right, and so we're gonna focus on cuts 1, and then the transition of my wrists, and then cut 2, right? So let's pay attention to how we do that, guys. This is a pretty basic lesson, but still bear with me. Maybe we can learn something together. Okay, so I'm in tog. Remember, I take my passing step. That's part of the deal. I extend out with my sword. Now, as I do a cut 1, notice I'm crossing my body. It's very important that I do that with longsword, right? Not only to generate power in the cut, but also to defend myself against my opposition, right? So cut 1, right? And then I turn my wrists, cut 2, like so. Let me back up a little bit, and I'll turn it to an angle. Okay, so I'm here in tog. Remember, my left foot's forward. My sword foot is back. I take my step, and I do my cut 1. And from here, I turn my wrists and I do a cut 2. Okay, this is very important because we're going to add on this really quick. But just to show you the transition, right? Like so. That's very important. Let's do it again. Cut. Cut. Right? Let me show it to you again. Cut. Cut. Right? So I cut 1. Cut 2. Cut 1, cut 2. It's important to keep your hands out. Cut 1, cut 2, because really you're using your cross guard and your blade to defend and attack, right? Cut 1, cut 2. So it's very important to keep your hands out as you do this. Cut 1, cut 2. Do this nice and slow. Cut 1. Notice how my hands are. Well, I hit the table. Cut 2. All right, so from a different angle. Cut 1, cut 2. Now from this angle here, cut 1, cut 2. Straight on again, cut 1, cut 2. All right, so this is important, this wrist roll action. So if I was to do it one-handed, it looks like this. Cut 1, and I turn my wrist like this for the follow-up. Okay, so I cut. I turn my wrist and cut. So cut, turn my wrist and cut. Right? Cut, cut. And the other, your offhand is kind of along for the ride. It does do sort of a push-pull, right? So it's pulling as I push to generate more speed. That gives me more cutting ability. And then as I turn my wrist, the other one just kind of follows, kind of like a trailer on a truck, right? It just follows the lead. And it gains, and it adds stability and strength to your cut, right? But be nice and supple. Don't give it a death grip, right? When you just really clamp and give your sword a death grip, You can't be supple in the wrists. It's all about being supple in the wrists. Okay, it's very important that you get that action down because we're going to build on that. Cutting and cutting, right, is a nice and fast, but I don't really guard myself so well when I do that. And oftentimes what happens is you cut and your opponent cuts and you're going to create a bind. And so if they have another sword, we're creating a bind right there, right? We're creating a bind somewhere along here. And then what? You can't follow through and then cut two. You can't do it. It defies the laws of physics. So what you need to do instead is to turn your wrist, come up to defend, and then come in with a cut two. Okay, a duplication, as Lichtenhauer calls it, right? So cut, turn, and then cut. So what happens is I cut. There's a subtle difference now, but it's the same mechanics more or less. I'm cutting. I'm turning my wrist, I'm winding, right? I'm winding, and as I wind, I'm dropping the tip, and I'm bringing my strong out forward to guard myself from his attack, and then I attack with a cut two, right? So I cut, turn my wrist, and then cut. I cut, I drop my point, I turn my wrist, because he is going to cut me, right? And I need to be able to defend myself. And then I step and I do my cut number two, right? So cut, 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 okay? So the assignment, work on that 100 times a day, each day, right? So from Tog, cut, point down, wrist up, and cut two. Right, so from Tog, cut, point down, wrists up, strong up, step, cut two. Cut, point down, wrist up, cut two. Okay, 100 times. Now, we're going to use that same technique, and we're going to transition to sword and shield. Let me show you how that works. Now let's do it with an arming sword, a single-handed sword. Okay, so the trick is in the wrist, right? You want that same action with the long sword you're going to be doing with the arming sword as well, right? You cut, right, like here. So I do a cut number one, but then I'm going to have my wrist up, come up like this, and then a cut two, right? Now, I am going to have a shield, so it's going to be a little bit different, but the same principle applies, guys. So I'm here, cut, wrist up, tip down, and then cut two, right? And I'll show you with the sword and shield right now how this works. Okay, so let's review how to hold the shield really quickly, right? I'm holding it like this. It's guarding my head, right? As I stand off out of measure, my shield foot is forward, right? And I got my shield here, and I'm covering with the edge of my shield, I'm covering my inside line. Right, so now I take my step, my shield comes up like this to guard my head and my inside line, and my sword comes out like this, and I do my cut number one, like so, right? And as I do that, the shield is guarding my hand as I make a cut, okay? Like so, right? Like so. One more time, like so. Show it to you this way, like so. Like so. Okay. All right. Now, the 1-2 combo. Remember, when we did our cut like this, we bring our sword up like this and then do a cut two. Well, it works really well with the shield. You just have to finesse it. So I cut, right, up, and cut. So cut, up, and cut. Notice I cut, I bring my hand behind my shield, right? And MSF guys, this is house, right? And then as I transition to do a cut two, I'm bringing my shield up behind me just so I can cover my head again as I strike, as a little insurance policy. So here I go, cut, cut, right? Cut, 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 cut. You get out what you put in. So with the long sword, we're going to do that 100 times. With a sword and shield, we're going to do that 100 times each day before class. Short and sweet. Remember the wrist actions, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me in class. Yeah, so we're going to practice this. And for those of you guys who find this video, and feel free to use this for your local study clubs. I'd love to help in any way, shape, or form that I can. Okay, guys, that's all I got for today. Always remember to slay your demons. I'll see you in class later.